No, I'm not the one to use the phrase, I told you so, but last month, I told you so. Past video, I talked about how laws that are designed to narrow the scope and change the behavior of law enforcement officers have an effect on private security officers. I talked about that in the other video. I'm listening to the BSIS, the Bureau Security Investigative Services, meeting that they had on October 8th. I watched all 2 hours and 27 minutes of it, and I listened to Chris Holden, Assemblyman from the state of California, and I'm not actually shocked. I am not shocked on what is happening to our industry. According to the interview, and I'll leave a link in the description below, Holden's office and BSIS, they are working on changing around the powers to arrest manual and changing some standards when it comes to private security officers using force. That is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It sounds like it's good, but it's a horrible thing if the state is limiting the scope of the way you do business. Okay? Is it good for the public? It's not good for the public, because every time that you limit the authority of private security to do business, you're giving them that hesitation. Private security officers, before they use force, and before they use force that is necessary, they're going to think, am I going to be prosecuted if I don't follow these guidelines? And they may not use that appropriate force. Those of you who work executive protection, you want to have all the backing possible from the state and from the penal code and any authority that's granted on private persons. You want that authority because you want to protect the potential target. Okay? These celebrities out there that are complaining about police using too much force and private security using too much force, they are stupid. They're idiots, because it is the same professionals that are out there protecting them that are going to have to follow these new standards that they're pushing forward. I'm not against change. I love change, but it has to be positive and not politically driven. Senate Bill 392, I believe, was a bill that was drafted by Cheryl Walker, a Democrat from San Diego. She's a San Diego State professor, and she chairs the Africana Studies. Okay? She pushed 392, and when she originally started drafting the wording of the bill, she wanted the lethal force requirement for peace officers, law enforcement officers, to be that it has to be necessary to use deadly force. It sounds great, but that's a deadly standard to the public and to the law enforcement officer. What that means is this. For example, you're private security, you're on patrol in a mall, and you get a call of a guy possibly having a gun on him, threatening people. You show up, this guy puts his hand in his pockets, he makes a really quick movement towards those pockets. You see a bulge. Okay, you do not see the front of him, you only see the back, and all of a sudden he turns, you call him out. Hey sir, can I talk to you? And you see this black object. It's night, by the way. And he moves this object in your direction, and you think it's a firearm, so you fire. You want to save your life, you want to save the life of other people that you're contracted to protect, and this guy dies as a result of you shooting him, but you thought that cell phone was a gun. Okay? Under this standard that this lady Sherry Walker was trying to push forward, you'd be held criminally liable. They arrest you for homicide because it was not necessary. Okay, that's a necessary standard. Was it necessary? Considering the totality of circumstances, was this necessary? And here it'd be the standard would, or the result would be no. It was not necessary because the guy had a cell phone, he didn't have a gun. Now, under the reasonable officer standard, if you believed, well, if other officers that have similar training that would consider the totality of circumstances, would they believe that this was a firearm, and would they believe that this was a deadly threat to them at that moment? Okay, they, in that predicament, that circumstance, many law enforcement officers in that position would say no. Many private security officers would say no. They would say yes, this is reasonable use of force. They would have used force as well. The necessary standard that our beloved San Diego State professor was trying to push, this private security officer, if you use the law enforcement standard that she was trying to push forward, would be held criminally liable for homicide, because using force against this person, using deadly force, was not necessary. This person had a cell phone, okay? Under a reasonable officer standard, this officer, the security officer, would be justified because other police officers in this person's position would feel it reasonable. They would have that reasonable belief that their life was in danger, and that force is force that would be used by other law enforcement officers. Again, I'm applying a law enforcement standard to a private security standard because of the law that's being pushed on law enforcement that will eventually trickle down to security. Okay? Law enforcement was able to change the wording in the law so that the wording still says necessary, but the courts have to consider the totality of the circumstances, and it's also from a reasonable officer perspective. Okay? Basically, what this Senate bill did was codified, however you pronounce it, Supreme Court decisions that were made 40 years ago when it comes to deadly force. Now, with regards to private security, Holden, he's trying to push a standard. And when the committee was asking him about what bill number is this that you're working on, he replied, well, he doesn't know yet, or he doesn't have that information yet. My concern is he's going to just push that bill forward to the governor. Governor Newsom, Democrat, by the way, he's going to sign whatever comes to his desk as long as it's passed on to him by a Democrat. I'm not even sure if he reads this stuff. Okay? He's just going to sign away. And that's my concern. See, with the Senate Bill 392 that was passed, it went through a lot of chiefs of police and sheriff's association, and they disagreed with the wording, and the legislator did change it around because law enforcement said, hey, look, we're not going to be able to effectively do our job if officers have this fear that they're going to get prosecuted under this necessary standard. Nobody's going to use force. Crime is going to be on the rise. And they're right. Okay. We, in the private security industry, we don't have that pull. We don't have that political power that sheriffs and chiefs of police have in the state of California. Don't be surprised if there's some type of standard. And that's a very difficult standard to pass, because about a year ago, there was a private security officer, I'm not going to mention his name, that used some type of deadly force similar to George Floyd, the George Floyd incident, and this person died. The great thing is BSIS has not suspended or revoked his license. So you know what? So far, this guy, he's in the green. He's okay, and I'm okay with that. Okay, I'm okay with the security officer passing this standard. or passing the standards that BSIS has set forth for keeping your license. That's good. You keep up the good work, whoever you are out there. Okay. I also want to mention that I don't take taking someone's life very lightly. It's a difficult thing to do. If you are in private security or law enforcement and you think it's okay just to take someone's life, that's not justified. You're in the wrong position and you need to get out of here. I'm telling you, taking somebody's life is something difficult to do. And when a security officer pulls that trigger, the majority of them, and I'm talking about nearly 100% of them, and law enforcement do not want to pull that trigger. They don't want to be prosecuted for unnecessary allegations, and they don't want to take someone's life. They have high regard for that. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. You guys, Stephen Glaser is the one that got 392 passed as well. I'm sorry. He did not. He got a new increase in fees. BSIS fees passed about 1 or 2 years ago. He's not our friend. He's a Democrat, by the way. Why do I keep mentioning Democrat? Sean, why do you keep picking on Democrats? It is Democrats that keep passing these fees. They keep passing these different use of force standards. Democrats. They don't, the ones that pass or that get these laws passed, they don't even have any experience in private security. Those of you who support these people that I am bashing, let me ask you this. What has this particular Democrat, usually, done for you as a private security officer or private investigator? What good have they done for you? Think about it. Governor of California. What good has Gavin Newsom done for you as a private security officer or private investigator? Nothing at all. All the laws that are designed to hinder our performance as private security or private investigators was signed, a lot of it was signed by Governor Newsom. Okay? Tell me some good that they have done. Okay? I'm not just picking on Democrats because they're a Democrat. Okay? I'm open to any ideas. I'm open to different information. Okay? But they just keep passing these laws that prevent us from being successful in private security, private investigations. So Stephen Glaser, and I think he's up for re-election, he gets this bill passed for an increase in BSIS fees. Okay, if you're a private investigator, you notice the fees are substantially higher. Same thing with private patrol operators, private security guards. Fees are going up. Okay, this guy got this bill, and by the way, he's a California senator. He got this bill passed that increases your fees. Why did he do that? Well, BSIS needed more revenue, right? And of course, they get a fee study. Those of you who have not seen a fee study, basically a professional company comes in and surveys the organization, the bureaucracy. Here, BSIS was surveyed, and the fee survey study concluded that the fees are too low right now. That they need to increase the fees based on the work that BSIS employees perform and the demand. Okay? You guys, a fee study can be manipulated, okay? You can get a job description for any employee, lay it out on a fee study, and for the most part, with your research, you can say that this employee spends extensive amount of time doing something that's in the job description, because that's what they use. They use the job description. And that's how organizations, bureaucracies get fees increase. Parking enforcement fees, maybe alarm study fees, they get a fee study, okay? Any chief of police or manager in an organization knows that if you want to get fees increased, get a fee study, because that is a way how to justify the fees, okay? Those of you who've been around with BSIS, let me ask you this. Yes, we have an increase in fees, but is the customer support better? Tell you what, call BSIS right now and let me see if you're able to get a hold of somebody in less than a minute. Let me know in the comments below if you have been online with them for more than 30 minutes, more than an hour, more than 2 hours. Let me know. I haven't seen much of a difference, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. The chief BSIS, Lynn, I think that's her name. Again, Democrat, probably Democrat. Handpicked by Gavin Newsom. I don't agree with some of her ideas of allowing anybody to have a license, but she is modernizing BSIS. Looks like she's open to ideas. Modernize the BSIS website. I think so far she's doing a decent job right now. Let's see how she does, so on and forth. And finally, if anything in this video offends you, please do yourself a favor, unsubscribe from my channel. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Dislike this video. I don't care. Those of you who have stuck with me this whole journey, hearing all my rants and supported this channel, I really appreciate you guys, and I hope that you continue with me on this journey as I grow as well. I really appreciate the positive feedback. Ladies and gentlemen, election's coming up. I don't care if you vote for Biden or Trump, doesn't matter. In the private security or private investigations sector, what matters is on our state level. Pick the right assembly persons, pick the appropriate California state senators. Remember, there's two portions with our lawmakers. You have the state senators and then the state assemblymen or women. Okay, we need to pick the right group of men and women. Whoever that is, make sure that they're qualified to do the job. You guys be safe out there. Hope you get a little bit of insight into the politics of BSIS and lawmaking. Please like, subscribe. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Again, if you disagree with anything I say, a constructive comment or a comment with evidence-based information is acceptable to me. Again, if you have a candidate in mind who's a Democrat that is pushing or that will push legislation that will benefit you as a private security officer or private investigator, let me know in the comment below, and I will support this person. I don't care what are they, a Democrat or Republican or Libertarian or somebody that doesn't associate themselves with any party. It doesn't matter to me. Thank you guys.